Hello, millionaires. Welcome to the Millionaire Money Podcast, episode 26. Today, we're going to be talking about the success paradox, the dark side of achievement, and what most people don't tell you about achieving success. Let's go. Family. Okay, this is a conversation that needs to be had, okay? Because if you are watching this podcast, it's the Millionaire Money Podcast, then you're likely someone who is wanting to build and achieve a level of success in your business, in your finances, in your life overall. And I'm noticing something out here. So we've been doing this work and we've been helping a lot of people, a lot of business owners over the years scale their businesses, multiply. We recently launched the 100 Multi-Millionaire Challenge. And then just in general, like going around speaking events and so on. And we've actually been seeing our clients. We've always done this, but we're seeing more and more of our clients hit levels of success that they have never imagined they would ever be able to hit, to live. And the more that I'm working with these 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure business owners and seeing them hit these previously unimaginable goals, I started to notice something. I started to notice that success itself can be a trap. And I actually started to see specific areas of sabotage, mindset sabotage, that were coming up out of this place of actually achieving people's goals. And I've been watching it. My focus for a very long time has been like, let me help you actually go out there and hit the goal. Let me help you make that money, hit that revenue, get that profit, and do it while you're enjoying your life. You enjoy your family. You're not grinding and killing yourself to get there. You're honoring God. You're keeping your values. You're keeping the first things first. And as I'm watching more and more people hit these goals, and I'm seeing the struggle that comes with that. And I'm also speaking to some incredibly successful business owners, and I'm seeing the traps, the struggles, the challenges that come up on the other side of achievement. I was like, I gotta tell my people so that if any of you are coming to find us, because we're not gonna play about you achieving the goals that you're coming to us for. But if you're listening to the podcast, if you're following with any of the events that we're running, if you come and you work with us in any capacity, you need to be fully prepared for what you're stepping into. Why? So that you don't end up spending all this time to build to a certain level, get there, and then end up sabotaging yourself. And so why are we having this conversation? So that you can build the dreams, the goals, the visions that God has given you, but you can make sure to protect your heart, to protect your mind, and to protect your money as you get there. And here's why you really got to pay attention to this. Because if you don't understand what I'm about to talk about and the traps, the dark side of building success, you can end up throwing away in 1 week what it took you years to build. It is real in these streets. It is real. So let's dive right in, okay? One of the top first things that people really misconstrue about achieving success is what we call the arrival fallacy. So it's a belief and a mindset that when I get this goal, then I will be happy. When I hit this level of achievement, that's when life is going to look different. Think about it like this, guys. If any of you have any children, okay, so I have a little one. I have 3 little ones. And my oldest, I remember when she was 6. So for probably years, maybe 3, she was waiting until she turned 7. She was extremely excited about turning 7 years old because we were going to do one thing that I told her way back when, like, when you turn 7, we're going to do a little bit of nail polish on your nails. And so she was like, oh my gosh, when I turn 7, y'all, I said that when she was like 3 because I thought 7 is so far away. Then 7 just started to run. I said, oh my gosh, she's already here. Anyway, so because I literally just chose a number. I was like, okay, when you turn 7, we'll do the nail polish thing and it'd be a whole posh thing and it'd be me and you and, you know, it'd be nice and cute. So she was waiting till she turned 7, right? When I turn 7, it's like, it's going to be so different. When I turn 7, we're going to do the nail polish. And we did the nail polish and whatever. But it was so funny because on her birthday, she was like, I feel the same. And I was like, yep, this is 7. It's the same as 6, only plus 1. And many of us do that, right? Where we, in our head, have this mentality of like, when I get to this, everything's going to change. You know, I'm going to feel fulfilled. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to be grateful. It's going to be different once I hit this financial marker, or once I finally set up the business and shift out of working in my job, or once I finally get married, or whatever it is that you've kind of set as that marker, everything is going to change. And the reason this is a dangerous belief is because when you get there, 2 things. 1, there's always going to be another goal for you. And so I find that a lot of high achievers end up never really getting to enjoy where they are in the present because they're always up-leveling the goal. So even though they are currently living lives that they used to pray for, they don't even notice it because they only see the gap of where they want to be next. So they're always going from one goal to the next without actually enjoying the journey because they're always in strive mode, or always in go get it mode, or always in like, I'm not yet there mode. They never allow themselves to actually even feel like they're there. That's number 1. Number 2 is they wait for that moment in time to engage with these emotions of accomplishment and fulfillment and joy and happiness and peace because they're thinking that that moment is what produces these emotions, when in reality, your life can be the joy and fulfillment. The journey can be the joy, the fulfillment, the peace, the connectedness, the gratitude. And when you get to a certain milestone, it just multiplies what you've already been living in. It was so funny because recently, and many of you guys follow me on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, go find me, okay? Toyin Crandell. That's where you're going to really get like a lot of the updates. Instagram, Facebook. So recently, I went to Richard Branson's private island, Necker Island, and it was funny. Me and him were having a conversation, and he asked me a question. Like, I was asking him, I was peppering him with question after question after question. So he said, okay, Toyin, I have a question for you. With one of the questions that he had asked me, he said, you know, what was one of the most difficult moments for you in business, and how did you get on the other side of it? Deep. Right? And we were having a deep conversation. So I was sharing with him that we had set a goal to hit $1 million in a week in our company. And there was a point in time very recently where we did that. We hit the $1 million in a week. And his response to me, like, he jumps in and he goes, was the moment the most difficult moment for you in business? When you hit that milestone, was it that, you know, that letdown feeling, the disappointment feeling of like hitting the goal and it was just, it just happened? I was like, no, that's not the moment. In fact, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And like, I was like very, very much in gratitude in that moment. But it was funny because I knew exactly what he meant. Like, I knew exactly the feeling he was talking about, where sometimes we set up the goal and our focus is so much on the goal, and when we get there, it's actually deflating because you realize, oh, it's done. And I suffered my way here. And now I feel that like, oh yeah, I did it. Oh yeah, I got the accomplishment. But I just lost the last year in suffering to try to get here. And so a lot of people get there and finally realize, was this moment worth everything that I didn't allow myself to have? And I don't mean that in a place of like, don't sacrifice in order to achieve or get to the goals. I mean like emotionally depriving ourselves of joy and peace and all of these things because we're saving it for a specific moment. And I'm saying this because a lot of our folks, a lot of you guys who are listening, who follow and track with this podcast, are high achievers. You do push yourselves. And often we fall into this fallacy. Okay, and part of what you want to do, the other piece that I'm going to say about this is a lot of people assume that the bigger you build, the happier you get. So for example, if you're running a business, taking your business from 6 figures a year to 7 figures a year, you're automatically going to be happier. Or taking your business from 7 figures a year to 8 figures a year, you're automatically going to be happier. And what they don't realize is that when you build bigger, there are actually more responsibilities, right? So it's not like, oh, you build bigger and you get to chill, or you build bigger and you don't do anything. And yes, there are ways for you to work smarter, not harder. And yes, you're able to learn how to do more with less. Like that is the principle that we teach and we train our people. So we help them scale without having to kill themselves and grind. However, there is such a thing as having a higher amount of responsibility. So even if you are working smarter, even if you're doing more with less, even if you're doing all those things, mentally and emotionally, if you are going to say, I want to build my business to the next level, whatever that next level looks like for you, you also have to acknowledge that there will be a higher level of responsibility. Why? Because there's more at stake. And I'm having this conversation with y'all because people don't want to talk about this. People want to make it sound like, oh, when you build, it's just beautiful, it's just wonderful, it's just great, it's just da-da-da-da-da. But the truth is, there is a higher level of responsibility that you are going to feel when you're operating a $30 million business versus when you're operating a $30,000 business. When you're operating something that's doing hundreds of millions to when you're operating something that's doing tens of millions. We're going to get into this. We're going to talk a bit more about this. I got examples for y'all, but like this is one of those areas where people really, really don't think through the level of success that they want to build, and they just go along with what everybody else is saying is good. They're just building based on environment versus building based on vision. Y'all, let me not get ahead of myself. Let me keep going, okay? The next trap, the next thing to be aware of, mindset, to be aware of when you're building success and you actually hit the goal, is there's a possibility for the fear of failure to actually kick in. And what do I mean by that? I mean that for some people, you actually start to build, and because you've hit a certain level of success, there's this place of like, I don't want to mess this up. And so because they think I don't want to mess this up, they actually end up wanting to drop the whole thing, which does what? Messes this up. So for example, we had a client, I'll call him James. We had a client named James where he had hit a certain level of success in his business that he could never, ever, ever have imagined, okay? It was an income target, tens of thousands of dollars within a week, and he was like, oh my gosh, I could never have imagined this. And in the middle of the influx into his company, in the middle of it, he messaged me and was like, I need to take a vacation. And I was like, I'm confused. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? And he said, I need to take a vacation because I feel tired. I'm over it. I need rest right now. I'm like, wait, let me understand this. You spent the last month, not even the last month, you spent how many years building your business to get to this place? It's finally working. You have more people knocking on your door than you have time to let them in. They are coming in droves. They are excited. They are happy. In the middle of this inflow into your company that is more than you've ever had, now is when you want to put the brakes on and take a vacation? This smells like sabotage. And I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, then what are you doing, right? So we laughed about it and they got it together. They were like, all right, boom, let's go. Like, they fully, completely saw it as soon as I just showed them the mirror. They're like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. I was in the middle of my best moment in my business wanting to run away from it. Why? Because I don't want to be the person who messed it up. And so if I just let go of the whole thing, then it's not on me, except when you're the CEO, it is on you. And so I find that a lot of people, they hit certain levels of success that actually causes them to start to hold back from running in the way that they were running before. And now the third trap. Okay, so let's talk about the third trap when you actually start to hit levels of success that you've never hit before. This you would not expect to be on the list, but it is. And it is this: imposter syndrome. So many people think that imposter syndrome is something that only people who have not achieved success feel. So what is imposter syndrome? For those of y'all who don't know, imposter syndrome is the feeling of, who am I to be here? I don't deserve, or I don't belong, or I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Like, this is not my place. It's bigger than me. They're bigger than me. Whenever we think of imposter syndrome, we think about like someone who's just getting started and is a freshie, in the business room, they don't know what they're doing, and so they have imposter syndrome. But can I tell y'all that when you start to build to certain levels of success, it can actually open up the door to imposter syndrome, to where even people who are the most skilled at what they do start to feel like the life that they're living is not theirs. Like, I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy of this level. And I remember there was another client of ours, I'll call her Tammy, where she had actually built her business to the highest level she could imagine, multiple millions, like extremely impressive. Everybody else was like, oh my gosh, look at you go. And at the peak of that, she felt like, who am I to have all of this? And that thought of like, I don't deserve this. This isn't for me. This is uncomfortable to have this much available to me, actually introduced a season of loss. And I mean a season where it was hit after hit after hit after hit. And I remember it was actually coming out of like being extremely successful and then just seeing her humanness. Like, she made one mistake and it was like, if I could make this one mistake, I don't deserve any of all of this. And then it was hit until her income, her life kind of reflected her mindset around what she expected or thought that she deserved. And by the time, thank God, she found us and came to us and we started to talk and started to work together, because it was like unraveling the levels of sabotage that had been introduced simply because she had gotten to a level of success that her heart and her brain weren't yet ready for. And so now a normal mistake that like anyone is just like, okay, I made a mistake. You know, you pray, you repent, it's good, you're done, you move forward. Now that one mistake means I am unqualified. And that thought of being unqualified introduces boop, 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 all this negativity that literally just took all of it away for her to start all over again. This is critical. Okay? Many highly successful people feel imposter syndrome. And if you don't acknowledge what is happening in your heart and in your brain, like if you're not particular about your money mindset and being comfortable with what you're building and the levels that you're actually stepping into, it's almost like you're going to be pushing the gas and pushing the brakes at the exact same time. And when you push the gas and you push the brakes at the exact same time, can we just say that it's a little bit frustrating? And so for a lot of people that are building success, you need to be very careful and mindful to protect your heart, to remember that you actually built to get where you are. I mean, like, nobody dashed it to you, as my people will say. Nobody gave it to you. You were a part of the process. And I remember one of the times that I felt imposter syndrome. I had gone to an event with a mastermind, a group that I was a part of. And I remember it was my first ever event going there. And it was this super duper posh place. It was in like South Carolina. And I remember getting in the Uber, and the Uber was driving me into the woods for almost an hour. So much so I texted my family. I'm like, people, please, this is where I am in the world, because I don't know where this Uber wants to carry me. Right? It was like this hidden resort. Get there and it is beautiful, calm, gorgeous, trees, water, just beautiful. And it was my first time being in kind of like such a posh environment, right? And immediately I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm one of the youngest people in the group. You know, I've never been in an environment like this. I do not see anybody that looks like me here. Like, I am thinking all these thoughts. And I remember going and sitting down. Usually when I'm going to events, if it's like a retreat, a long type of event, I'll go a day early and just have dinner, be chill, because I don't want to be like late flight, missed, canceled, this, that, running all over the place. So I go a day early, and I went to have dinner, and I just sit and I eat and I people watch. Don't judge me, okay? I just watch people as they talk to each other. I'm usually by myself. I don't go find my people in the beginning. And so I'm people watching, I'm sitting there eating, and the server comes up to me and he's like helping me out, the waiter. He's like, oh, hey, what do you want? Make my order. And he's like doing a little bit of chit chat. And he asked me, is it personal or is it business? And I said, it's business. So he goes, did they send you? I can't even remember the words he used, but essentially he assumed that like my boss sent me on the trip, because I mean, this place is so posh that there had to be a boss that kind of sent me. So he was kind of saying like, you know, isn't it so bad that our bosses are always sending us all over the place, but at least you get to enjoy something like this. And I was so confused for a second. So I look at him, because he was like some like our boss, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, I mean, I said I was here for business, but like I am the boss. It's my business. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, you know, he catches his assumption. So sorry. I'm like, totally no problem. Like, there was zero offense. I wasn't even angry. In fact, because many of you guys, you use moments like that to get angry. How dare he assume that somebody else had to pay my way to get here? No. I wasn't there to be angry. That conversation broke the imposter syndrome for me, because I was so confused. So I said to him, oh, no. I am the CEO. I am the boss. I paid to be here. I paid the bill. And as soon as I said that, I'm like, oh, wait, I paid to be here. I am part of this process. I built my business to where it is with God, okay? Because please, okay? Don't put words in my mouth. Without God, I ain't nothing. I can't even breathe. So let's just get that one settled. But with the wisdom of God and with him as the CEO and me participating, I am here. And to be able to recognize that and honor that and not allow imposter syndrome to take you out before you even got started. I don't belong here. Do I deserve this? Should I be here? Like, can you imagine, like, how on earth would I have opened my mouth to get to Richard Branson's private island if I was busy feeling like an imposter as I'm building? So that's imposter syndrome. Let's drop that one. Number 4, okay, this is the last one that I'm going to talk about, but there's so much more that I could get into. In the traps of success is overconfidence. There's going to be one other thing I'm going to talk about. It's not a whole section, but it needs to be addressed. Overconfidence. So for many people, they finally achieve a certain success marker and they actually get lazy. They get overconfident. They stop putting in the same level of effort that they were putting in at the beginning because they just assume that because they earned it yesterday, it should be given to them tomorrow. And what they don't realize is the world is not waiting for you to just come and feed you. There's a quote by John Maxwell that I love. He talks about how he allows, like, their team will celebrate huge events that they accomplish for about 24 hours. And then after 24 hours, they look ahead and they start building for the next thing. And he said, why? Because yesterday's success doesn't create tomorrow's success. So what you did yesterday is genuinely yesterday. And it's what you're doing today that will determine where you are tomorrow. And a lot of people who build success fall into an assumption that they can now go into coast mode. So they get into coasting comforts before they've actually reached their destination. They hit a milestone. Oh my gosh, this was amazing. And then they just chill. They fall back. They think that it's the current is just going to carry them through across the finish line. And they don't understand that success often demands that you stay present to what you're building. You know, I was talking to a multi-billion-dollar business owner, and he was just like sharing his heart freely. And he was talking about how the business that he runs in his industry, it's one of the top worldwide. He wasn't saying it out of a place of pride. It's just context for the conversation that we were having. And one of the things he said is, I've seen competition. I've seen competitors come out of nowhere. He goes, no matter how much you think that like you are your only competition, which is how I've thought, like, for years and years. I am my only competition. This is how I run. What did I do last year? How do I quadruple that? How do I double that? Like, that's how I set goals. So he goes, it's fine and dandy for you to have yourself as your own competition and not be looking at other people as your competition. But you have to understand that when you hit certain levels of success, whether you like it or not, you are somebody else's competition. He goes, there are businesses that are bigger than yours that want to kaput, I don't know the word, decimate your business. For example, with Richard Branson, like, if any of you guys have watched his documentary, it talks about how when he was starting Virgin Atlantic, British Airways got very threatened by that. And even though Virgin Atlantic was like a fraction of their size of business, they were ready to crush it, right? So he goes, bigger businesses can see you coming up as competition and try to crush you. But then you also have smaller businesses that also see you as competition and want to take your place. And it's not like you need to start running your business out of a place of fear or defensiveness. However, one of the things he was saying is that people don't get ready for that reality when they do get successful. And I know personally, that's something I was not ready for. Like when I saw people actually like treat my business like it is like tough, like competition, I was completely blindsided because I, for years, just never even thought that way. Like it wasn't even a thought to me of like, oh my gosh, we're gonna go head to head. So even if you are not looking for it, if you build to certain levels, people will sometimes come and find you. And so there's people who are wanting to build success but aren't ready for that reality. And I'm out here telling you, if you're going to build, get ready for the heat. If you're going to build, get ready for the heat. And then you decide what level you want to get to decide whether or not you want to have that impact. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you're not successful, if you're not hitting certain levels in your business, people don't even notice you. They don't see you. So there's no problem with you. You can do your own thing in your own little corner. It's when you start to actually take up space that people actually see you to say you are somebody to compete with. Right? So you need to determine for yourself personally, how far do you want to go with your business? And I know that this is like counterintuitive to the podcast. The Millionaire Money Podcast should only be telling me to build bigger and better and stronger and more and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, that's not the case for everybody. There's certain clients we have. I remember one of my clients, she's like, I don't want a big business. I don't want a big business. I want you to show me how to earn $30,000 a month every single month with me and a VA, and maybe I have one other person assisting in my company. That's it. Is that a problem? It's not a problem. She's able to do that. She's still having impact. She's still serving people. I remember she paid off all of her debt in 3 months. Boom. You know, like milestone, saved up for retirement, saved up for this, saved up for that. Beautiful. So don't just assume that because other people are building bigger businesses, you need to follow suit and build bigger businesses if you're not ready for the heat and if you don't want the heat. This guy that was talking to me that I mentioned earlier, the $1 billion business owner, was saying to me, like, he was sharing some of the challenges in the level of business that he plays at. And it's funny because I've always thought about that. I wonder how much pressure Elon Musk must feel. I wonder how much pressure Jeff Bezos must feel. Like Mark Zuckerberg. Oh my gosh, God help us. You know, whoever else, these big business owners, their name is in everybody's mouth. Whether for good, whether for bad, is there. And so this guy's sharing with me some of like the real background, like this and this and this are some of the things I think about on a daily basis. And I was like, dang. Do I want to build to that level? I don't think so. But I know where I want to get to because I know the conversations about vision that I'm having with God about where we're going to build to. I hope this is making sense. I hope this is serving some of y'all because it is very important for you guys to be ready for this stuff. So what happens if you don't get this? If you don't get this, you end up building to this climax that you have previously imagined, and you can get hit with any of these different mindsets, with any of these different challenges, and all of a sudden be willing to throw it all away. However, if you can, as my people will say, look with your two eyes, be ready, be prepared, get your heart ready, stay humble, stay connected, have accountability. Like these are things you need to have in place. Like one of the things our clients, like there's so many of our clients that have worked with us for years and years. They know what to do. Like I've coached them. They know how to run. They know how to make their decisions. They know how to go, but they stay in the community. Why? Because for them, they want that accountability. They want to know, like, I want to stay humble. I don't want to forget who I was at the beginning. I want to be able to build with my family in mind, with my values in mind. I don't want success to get to my head. It's an actual thing, y'all. It's an actual thing. And one of the things that I have loved about just getting to know a lot of people who own large businesses, like in the beginning, I used to have this thought before I ran business, before, Millionaire Money podcast was a thought of, people who have a lot of wealth would be pretty like posh and stush and separated and whatever. And have I met some of those people? Yes, I have. But what I've also noticed is that most of the people who have built a lot of success live with genuine humility. Genuine humility. You see them on the street and they're the same to you as they are to somebody else. And so for you, if you're going to build success, you want to ask yourself, who am I here and who am I there? And how do I make sure that I hold on to those values? How do I make sure that I don't sabotage myself when I get there? How do I make sure? Because for a lot of you guys who are watching this podcast, your work, your business, the thing that you do isn't just for you. It's because you are having impact in other people's lives. Even with the funds that you're earning, you're able to give that back. Like, what will success open up for me? It opens up the ability for me to give at a higher level. It opens up an opportunity for me to have free time to be able to serve and love and be with the people that I love. It opens up the opportunity for me to assist my team in living the lives that they've dreamed of. Like, you begin to acknowledge, okay, this is why I'm building what I'm building. This is what I'm building and where I'm trying to go. Like, defining that for yourself, not letting society define that, not letting other business owners, coaches, gurus, experts tell you what size your business needs to be and what size is a good business. Like, you being the one who makes that decision. And then as you build, what do you need to do? You need to enjoy the journey. So instead of waiting for that ending destination, truly experience every day. Experience every moment. Something that friend of mine said was, he's like, it's extremely stressful, but I love the stress. Like, I love this life. I'm enjoying myself. It's exciting. It makes me have to think. And it's the truth. Like, I love my business. My sister recently asked me, she said, Toyin, what would be an ideal day, like your dream day ever? And I told her my dream day is going to include me, my hubby, my children. We likely go on a beach. We play a board game. We sit on the couch and just talk and we laugh. And I coach or I speak on a stage or I do a podcast or something. And she was like, hold up. Like, you mean legit, you would do what you currently do for work in your dream day? And I was like, yeah. I genuinely enjoy what I currently do for work. Like, for each one of you guys, whether or not you say, okay, I genuinely enjoy it, choosing to find the joy in the process of what you're doing. Because some of you guys, maybe you're in a season of transition. Maybe you're about to build something new. Maybe you're in a season of extreme pressure. Finding the joy. Why? Because you chose it. You chose to run the business. You chose to scale. You chose. So you can't choose that and then complain that you're there and complain, oh, my clients are challenging me, okay? My staff team, but you asked for a staff team. Y'all get me? Okay, so that's number one, is enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, because I promise you, when you get to the other side, you're going to look back and you're going to notice that was my life. Like, this is life. Life is the journey. Life is not the destination, because you're going to have a few destinations. It's the process that is what creates our memories in life. Number two, making sure that as you build, you continue to challenge yourself so that you don't give room to the fear of failure. Oh, this is the biggest thing in like money mindset shift. This is the work that we do. This is the stuff that I geek out on. But like, really being self-aware enough to identify when you've reached certain levels of success that there's a fear of something that has stepped in that now causes you to plateau. or to begin to go backward. So it's like you go halfway there, you come back, halfway there, you come back. Like, this is the juice of like what's going on in my brain, what's going on in my subconscious. It was funny. I'd done an event and it was an amazing event, hugely successful event. But I got hit with something, like with an attack that I just did not even expect and didn't see coming right after the event. And so I didn't do another event for like 2 months, 3 months. And it wasn't until afterward that I was like, wait, hold up. Toyin, your behavior is different. What's going on? And I was able to identify, here's the fear, here's the association and the meaning that I gave to what happened after my last event. Is that true? Absolutely not. Is that a reflection of me? Absolutely not. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get myself together. Guess what happened? As soon as I shifted my mindset out of that place, within 1 week, we had done another event. A week. Not a month. I literally, mindset shift, and all of a sudden, out of a mindset shift, I get an idea. You know what we should do? We should host an event to Okay, when are we going to do it? Why don't we do it in 6 days? Literally. Okay, cool. Let's do it in 6 days. I tell the community, I tell my staff team, we're going to do this event. It's going to be done in 6 days. We did it. Bam, successful. What's my point? My point is, you don't even know the opportunities that your brain is not even allowing you to notice because of the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of being seen. And now what's the third one? Imposter syndrome. You want to make sure, once again, that you're doing that mindset work to get rid of the beliefs of not good enough, not worthy, why am I here, I don't deserve this. And I'm telling y'all, this stuff is not logical. Okay, so some of you guys are listening, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely not me. I definitely think that I should be where I am and blah, blah, blah. But these are subconscious beliefs that end up running the script. So you need to be able to know whether or not it's running your script right now. And then the final thing on that place of people getting to a place of overconfidence where they think that they don't need to do anything any longer. They can just sit back, relax. Just life is just going to carry them through. It's staying humble. What got you here won't get you there. So doing what it is that you know you need to do. If you know that you've been consistent, then continue to be consistent. If you know that you've been showing up online, you've been showing up in your marketing, you've been showing up in your conversations with your clients, you've been showing up in the product and innovation, creativity, challenging yourself, challenging your team, continue to do what you've done to get where you are and adapt it for where you're going. But don't assume that just because you got where you are, you can just coast because everybody else is coasting around you. Because here's the truth, they're not. Okay? So stay humble, stay working, stay connected, stay accountable. And I will say this. This episode was not to tell you not to pursue the goals that you have, but simply for you to pursue it with your 2 eyes, to pursue it in a thought out way, to pursue it with your heart aware of what the traps can be and how to make sure you don't fall into those traps. And if you've been listening to this podcast episode and there's any of the 4 different matters that we've discussed, or just generally like, I'm building successfully in the eyes of everyone else, but I feel a level of pressure I have never felt before and I don't know what to do with it. And you want that assistance in figuring out your mindset and getting your mind to begin to cooperate with you and not just hold it together, but actually expand and rest and be creative and get into that next level of thinking, then why don't you go ahead, holla at us, book a call, moneymindsetShift.ca/call. Once again, it's moneymindsetShift.ca/call. We would love to have a conversation with you and see if we are a fit to assist you in scaling and building without sabotaging yourself. We love you guys, and I'm going to see you guys. Actually, before I say I'm going to see you next week, let me just say this. Share the link. Share this podcast. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family members. Share it with other business owners that you know are building successfully or have big goals so that they just have themselves ready. Share it, like it, review on the podcast thing, on the podcast thing. Send your review, send your likes, hit plus on the YouTube. Guys, I'm messing this stuff up so properly. But whatever it is, tell us you love it. Send me any questions y'all have, and I can't wait to see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Hey millionaires, thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you want to subscribe, there's a little picture of me right here. Click on that. And if you want to have a free financial breakthrough session with my team, then you can go on ahead and click on the button right here or visit moneymindset.ca/call. I'll see you guys on the next show. Bye-bye.